We're back on the porch for our summer of stillness, and we're talking this week about stillness, stealer of regret. We all have them. Decisions we've made that were maybe not so good, that seemed great in the moment, or maybe it's a decision we didn't make that we regret. We all have things in our past, regrets of our past. And when I think of my biggest regret, it's the one thing that I really wanted to get right in my life, my marriage, my failed marriage. And sometimes your decisions have generational consequences. There's a ripple effect to other people, and certainly my marriage and divorce have that on my children. They grew up in a broken home. I raised my children alone as a single parent. I've been single the last 20 some years. It was not my plan. And so I could sit and really stew and get sad over that regret. And when I do, God really reminds me of the verse in Romans 8:28, that God works all things for good, for those who love him and are called according to his purposes. And so now, what I try to do when I have regrets creeping in, my past creeping into my present or my future, is I try to think of what is that good thing that God is bringing out of maybe the poor choice. And when I think of my marriage, I think of the beautiful family that God gave me, my children, Nate and Carolyn. Because without my, quote, failed marriage, I wouldn't have these beautiful children. And so it's a refocusing on the good thing instead of dwelling on the poor choice. And so that's really helped me when I start thinking about and these regrets kind of come over me. And I also try to refocus on the second thing is, what can I learn? How can I grow through this situation? Maybe I made a poor choice then. How can I make a better choice now? And that's where my study of the Bible, and specifically Jesus, has really been helpful. And when I think about Jesus, he spent a lot of time in prayer, communing with his Father. And there's lots of examples, and the one that really comes to mind, a couple of them, is when there's big events. So sandwiched in between the miracle of feeding 5,000 and the miracle of walking on water, Jesus went to a mountain to pray. And even a bigger event before his arrest and crucifixion, Jesus went to the Garden of Gethsemane to pray. And so I really challenge myself now when I have decisions, if I want to make the right decision, the one that's helping me walk in God's will, is God a part of the conversation? Because that's where it should start. It should start with prayer. It should start with communication with our Father, not our friends, not our spouses, if we have a spouse, with our Father. And that's what I learned from my past, because God was not a part of my marital decision. He would be if I ever got married again, for sure. And so it starts with prayer, and then there's this process called discernment and discerning God's will. And the best book I've ever read about this is Priscilla Shire's Discerning the Voice of God. And I actually, in the comments, wrote a story about making the right decision. And it talks about this discernment process that Priscilla uses. So I really encourage you to check out my story in the comments to learn more about this discernment process, because good decisions take discernment. And it is a process. It's not a gut feel. It's not a quick feeling like of this is what I have to do. It's a discernment process, especially life-changing decisions like marriage. So anyway, I hope that these little tidbits help you this week to really pray about your regrets and to look for the good. What is the good that God has brought out of maybe your missteps and what you would consider your mistakes? And then try to do it better next time. Try to learn from those mistakes and use discernment moving forward to make better choices. So I hope you have a great week. Bye-bye.
Be still and know that I am God.